Click subscribe to get daily Manchester United content from passionate Reds, only on All for United. Welcome back to All for United. It is another transfer special. Behind the scoop is what we like to call these shows, because we reach out to people who have been talking and debating Manchester United transfers. Talking Transfers is a podcast you've got to go and download and listen to. Graeme Bailey is one of the stars from the show. And of course, Scott Saunders is on there as well, who's also amazing. It's all on 90min football. Graeme, thank you for coming on. It's always this time of season, me and you end up doing a load of content together, and Manchester United fans get extremely excited about potential deals. But genuinely, at the moment, Graeme, I don't know how you feel, but there's a lot going on with Manchester United at the moment.
Yeah, it's a rich vein when it comes to transfers, managers, news in general. Manchester United, as we know, but yeah, there's going to be some transfer news in and out of Old Trafford, as we expect most summers. But this is an interesting one with Eric Ten Hag and his influence, and we'll see. There'll be a Dutch flavour to United signs, as we know. But yeah, they're all exciting, isn't it? It's a new manager. It's all exciting for the fans. So we'll see how they get on. But yeah, obviously we'll cover a few of the names coming up. But yeah, quite an exciting time, I think, for all United fans.
Me and Graeme have spoken and had a lot of debate in the past about Manchester United managers. There was a lot of chat between me and Graeme on Ollie and Rangnick. And at the end of this podcast, I am going to pose a question to Graeme of what he honestly thinks of Ten Hag, because we haven't had that conversation yet. So we'll get to that. We're also going to talk about Jong. We're also going to talk
I'll think about it, Ben. Yeah, I think I did nail Rangnick and Ollie. So I'll have to think about Eric.
I'm hanging on your word now, Graeme. I'm hanging on your word now. You was right about the previous two, so I'm now hanging on your word. So please say something that's going to fill me with confidence. Although I do actually really like him, but we'll get onto that a bit later on. We're going to talk Jong. We're going to talk Timber. We're going to talk Nunez. We're going to talk about outgoings first. Cavani's gone. We know that. Matic gone. We know that. Pogba gone. We now know that as well. No shock with Pogba, Graeme. You was telling me before, Juve basically done.
Yeah, we fully expect him to go to Juve. You know, the last few weeks he's narrowed down his options he narrowed it down to PSG and Juventus. You know, Real Madrid were there in the background, especially at the turn of the year, but with their move for Aurelien Tchouameni, you know, that's meant that he's been their priority. He's a wonderful player, as we know. United wasn't particularly an option, you know. I think with the burglaries in Cheshire, and I know there was the speculation about the Man City stuff. I don't believe that was too serious. I think he was happy to, you know, consider them. Think about. I think he appreciated the interest, especially the plans that maybe Pep would have had for him. And it shows how highly rated he still is. But no, he's going back to Juventus, a team he loves, a city that he loves, and the manager he loves in Allegri. And you know, they've got a lot of ambitious plans, Juventus, and I think he'll be turning up at Juventus with another former United star in the shape of Angel Di Maria. Obviously, they've gone for him. They missed out on Ivan Perisic, who went to Inter, so they'll get Di Maria on a free from PSG and Paul Pogba. And yeah, I think Juventus are an interesting team to look out for. Vlahovic, Pogba. Be interesting to see what role he plays. But as I've always said, I can see Pogba in that quarterback role, you know, doing the Andrea Pirlo type role, which who knows better how to do that than Max Allegri at Juventus, you know. So I think that's where we'll see Pogba turning up, sitting in front of the defence and becoming that not a glorified water carrier as well. But yeah, if he can do that, pick out the passes, he'll be a very dangerous player for them.
Another Manchester United star in Angel Di Maria. Another Graeme.
He was a good player. He was a good player. Another player ruined by United.
We love your honest takes. That's why we like you over here. What about the, so to speak, the announcement from United? Once a red, always a red. It's sort of like they're trying to glamorize it up and put some sort of promising spin on it, because naturally, as you can imagine, there's going to be this vibe of thank goodness from the fans. Do you think that's harsh, or do you think that's right given his time at United?
No, I think it'd be harsh from the fans. I think that's a very classy move from United today. You know, there's not a single United fan who Pogba, you might not have seen the best of Pogba. He was let down from the day he arrived back at the club. He's been let down by that club from start to finish. He's never been given a calibre of team to win a trophy. Maybe the Europa League with Jose, but he didn't come to United to win the Europa League. That's not why Paul Pogba came back. But let's not forget, Paul Pogba didn't just come back for the money. He wanted United to be on top of the world, literally. He wanted them to be the best team in the world. That's why he came back. He's been let down from start to finish by the club. And I think that sign off from then, once read, always read, I think it points that direction. They know they've let him down. They do. They know they've let him down. And there's not a single United fan who can say if they're giving him the platform to play, have they given him a platform to show his skills? No, of course he haven't. So I think, he loves the club. He always will. And, I think it's a classy way to sign off. I think the club have done a good job there today.
We expect Lingard to follow, potentially even today. I've seen that we could have that announcement as well. But again, Wan Bissaka, that could be something else we hear about today as contracts end. But in terms of sales, I suppose the next name of the outgoing list is Aaron Wan Bissaka. Palace, seemingly the club most interested. Roma, some whispers from there as well. Do you think United are going to struggle to sell him for the fee of 30 million that's being touted this summer? Do you expect him to go on loan? But either way, you expect him not to be at United by the end of the transfer window.
Yeah, I'm as shocked as anyone, Ben. When you got the best right back in Europe, I think when we first talked, you referred to him as the best right back in Europe. So I'm amazed that United are letting him go. They'll have to sell. He's on too much money. They're not going to pay 30 million on his wages. If someone did pay 30 million, United would have to subsidise the deal. He's got little to no future at the club. He's not good enough. And maybe Roma alone, you could see that possibly. He could rekindle his career there, find a system that suits him better under Jose. Jose loves English players at the moment. We've seen what he's done with Tammy Abraham, Chris Smalling, done exceptional jobs for him. And then there's the return to Palace, who are looking for a right back, so they're in the market for him. I don't think there's much else out there. There isn't any. There really isn't many other takers out there. Loan deals, there'll be a few, but we're looking mid-table Premier, bottom half Prem. We're not looking at top 6 Prem at all. So, no, it's one of those where it's the previous regime, but Erik ten Hag will wash his hands of him. But yeah, I think more likely a loan, Ben, to be honest.
I just can't believe that if Wan Bissaka leaves tomorrow with our options that we've got, and this is just not including any incomings, Diego Dallo is the first choice right back at Manchester United. Now, there might be many problems in Manchester United, but if a solution is ever Diego Dallo, then you're in the mud.
Yeah, you are, but it shows how bad that Wan Bissaka is,
You're getting such a thrill out of this at the moment, aren't you? Okay, Graeme.
I'm not wise in hindsight, am I, Ben? I'm not wise in hindsight.
I'm going to hold my hands up. You were right. I was wrong.
Yeah, it's one of them where he's just not. He's. I don't think it's a matter of him not fitting. He's just, and I think it's one of those where you could keep him and make do. But if you want to finish top 4, he's not the man for you. So is that Dallo, not a bad reserve, and maybe someone like Timber could play there. We'll come on to him in a little bit, obviously. But I think Dallo will be that standing. But we need to see what formation that Erik ten Hag's going to play as well. I think that'll be a big consideration that we'll look at as well.
United obviously looking to offload more players as well by the looks of things. More fringe players, I suppose, in the likes of Andres Pereira. It looks like he's coming back off of loan. He's going to be like a new signing, isn't he, Graeme? Andres Pereira this summer. We've got to just any price go. Tuanzebe looking like another one. Is there any solid interest here from Brighton? Because that's the club that I heard being linked with a move to.
Tuanzebe, I wouldn't have thought so. I saw Brighton recently. I think they're very, very well off at the centre half, to be honest. I don't think they need that one. But hey, a young United player, they're going to take a risk. I think someone like Fulham or Bournemouth might be an interest. Tuanzebe is an interesting character. I think he'll do a good job somewhere. But yeah, there's lots of players to move on. I think from what I'm told, United would happily move on from Eric Bailly, Victor Lindelof, Tuanzebe. There's a lot of these French players. It's not all going to happen in this window. We know that you're going to be left with quite a few players who you probably would like to move on. But hey, there's a good few windows work to be done here.
I think with the free signings or the free agents that are going to be leaving as well out of contract, I think I can list 10 that are doable maybe for United this summer, but they still have to work hard and take a cut on a few to see them go. And that also includes letting go of the likes of Martial coming back from loan and letting go of the likes of Andreas, etc., etc. So not people who are, so to speak, within that first team squad or were in that first team squad last season. Someone like Eric Bailly, he also, yes, does 100% need to go to Nzabi as well. But I think there's options there for United. I think United can get 10, 11 outgoings. And I think they're probably going to need to, Graeme, because whispers of that, 120 million United have to spend in the window. If you want to make that up, you've got to be able to sell players as well, right? So I think United have to be busy with their outgoings this summer. Otherwise, Ten Hag isn't going to be able to remold the squad how he potentially needs to.
Yeah, there will be outgoings. So Dean Henderson, we expect him to leave. For
do you, by the way, do you expect that? Do you expect Dean Henderson to go? Because I'm still very much looking at it, and I'm slightly confused as to whether there is that. I suppose I'm trying to say that will from United to let him go, compared to Dean Henderson wanting to go, if you know what I mean. I understand Dean Henderson will want to go, but it's just from what I'm seeing, and you know better than me, I don't know if United have that will to sit down at a negotiating table, so to speak, with a Newcastle. They know his price, 40 million. If you want him, have him. Do you see where I'm coming from?
Yeah, but it's not as simple as that, because United they're willing to sell. Of course they are. There's nothing special there with Dean Henderson, but Newcastle will pay his wages or pay the fee. It's one or the other. Nobody's going to buy Dean Henderson for 40 million and pay his ludicrously high wages. He's earning over 100 grand a week, which he shouldn't be. He should be lucky to be on 50. It's a deal from the previous regime. They handed it to him, which was ridiculous at the time. They thought he was England's next goalkeeper. Obviously, hadn't watched him. Anyone who's watched Dean Henderson, yeah, he's solid enough, but he never showed any promise like the sort of a Jordan Pickford or anything when you saw him when he was young. Dean Henderson never showed that. He had a lot of action at Sheffield United because he was playing for a relegation threatened club. Of course, he's going to see a lot of the ball. So no, I think he's a good Premier League keeper. He's not a top 4 Premier League keeper in my eyes. But I think it'll be a bit of an upgrade for Newcastle. I think that'll be a loan. It might even be a 2-year loan. You'll see a lot of these type of loans now, Ben, where they'll have to be very experimental. They'll have to do deals to get through. Newcastle, they're going to be under the spotlight a lot with their deals. So I think if Newcastle are willing to take his wages, it'll be a loan. If they're willing to pay, then Newcastle might have to pay him off. Sorry, United might have to pay him off. But yeah, from my understanding, that deal is quite close. That Henderson will be going to Newcastle. And it's just a matter of tying it up with a loan deal, because obviously you can only have 2 domestic loans, but I don't think that'll be an issue for Newcastle. Yeah, but he'll be going, and they'll bring another keeper in, at least 1 new keeper, maybe 2.
Interesting. So we're in the market for a keeper as well. So we're going to need 5 or 6 signings this summer for sure. A lot of movement, and let's talk about some of that movement. And the big one today that everyone's talking about is Frankie de Jong. I've put my opinion out on this, Graeme, on Twitter around this whole word. It's mainly a buzzword, I think, that many reporters are using, and it's sort of I think being used because it's a bit of a stalemate with maybe information at the moment on the deal, or maybe with the fact that it's not progressing very quickly because there's 2 big clubs at the table here and also a big player with a lot of potential and promise. And that's the word convincing de Jong. Where are you at with this? Are United going in for a player who doesn't want to play for Manchester United here?
It's not that simple, You guys are you're not a top 14 now. You're to get a player of de Jong's caliber, he will need convincing to go. And that's I think the only reason you probably will get him will be because you've got Erik ten Hag. He loves playing for Erik ten Hag. De Jong is a world-class midfielder. It hasn't gone right for him at Barca. And Barca are probably only letting him go if and when they do, Ben, because they've got Gavi and Pedri, 2 of the best young players in world football. And they've signed Kessie as the holding player. So they've got room to move de Jong on. There's not many teams in the world who wouldn't miss de Jong, but Barca are probably one of them. Pedri and Gavi are just sublime, aren't they? The new Iniesta and Xavi, probably. So not once in a lifetime, but once in a generational talents. So that I think United are it's a perfect storm for United. They're in that right position where they can go to Barca, get this player. It reminds me a bit, Ben, of Arsenal getting Bergkamp, or maybe Liverpool getting Coutinho, just being in the right place at the right time. to get a player who you normally shouldn't be able to get at that price. And so I think United just have to jump on it, and they are working. They're trying to do it. I think the wages are a slight issue, but I think he's of such a talent that you have to do it, and it's one they are working on, and I think quietly confident of getting it done.
Is it one that could speed up quite quickly, or is it something that may take some time? We heard about some deadlines because of the financial ruins at Barcelona for today, I think it was, or yesterday, of them needing to raise a certain amount of money. I mean, surely with a club like Barcelona, things like that get extended, but ultimately they're going to need the money from this deal. So United are in a good position at the negotiation table for this.
They did a deal, I think, with the media rights or image rights or some commercial deal. They did some sort of deal with Barcelona on the 31st. Yeah, they are in a good position. This position because Barcelona, can they afford to pay someone that much money and sit on the bench and stuff? So, and I say the Ten Hag factor is huge. It really is in this deal. And, from my understanding, he has made him his number one midfield target. So, and I do think his thinking is that he brings Van der Beek in and plays next to him. And that is a mouth-watering prospect. Van der Beek and De Jong, maybe with someone else sitting, maybe McTominay or Fred, not having to do, as long as all they have to do is do the Deschamps role, be a water carrier. They're both capable of doing that, very much so. So I think it's an interesting way of looking at it, where, he'll sign De Jong and pay the money, but the other two spots, he doesn't need another midfielder because he wants to use Van der Beek. So I think that's a way of getting it through the United hierarchy, saying, maybe I'm spending a lot of money on this midfielder, a bit more than we wanted to, but I'm not bringing another one in because I'm bringing Van der Beek back, and they'll love to see Van der Beek coming good as well. So I think that'll go in his favour as well.
How much better does De Jong make Manchester United, though, do you believe, in your opinion? Because let's face it, United's biggest issue last season, it's all over the pitch. I say a big issue wasn't progressing the ball from midfield. Of course it bloody was. But the biggest issue was the fact that defence had near to no support. There was no screening in front of it. Now, we've lost Matic. Doesn't look like we're going to look for a younger like-for-like replacement for him. De Jong very much seems like a Paul Pogba replacement in some ways, in terms of the caliber and so to speak, the type of midfielder. A little bit less industrial maybe is De Jong. But does he make United a better team, do you think? Do you think he makes a Ten Hag side, a Manchester United Ten Hag team, better tick than maybe some of the other options we have?
Well, United are a better team because they've got a better manager now. That's as simple as that, Ben. You've got rid of Solskjaer, Ragnick here, and you're in Ten Hag, so you are a better team already. It's as simple as that. It is a no-brainer. And you talk about like for like. We don't know what system he's going to play yet, so we don't know who like for like. McTominay can play that holding midfield role. That shout out. Just don't ask him to create. Don't ask him to do anything technical, and he can play that role brilliantly. I don't see any issue with that. I'd like McTominay to play that holding role, screening the defence. He plays centre half for Scotland. He knows what a centre half wants. He's got a defensive mentality. Sit McTominay in front of that back four and they'll be fine. Yeah, in 2 years' time, you may want a world-class performer. He's a good Premier League player. He'll do a wonderful job there, in my eyes. And then, De Jong does, because De Jong, in that system, he's probably, if you do get De Jong, he'll be the best player playing that Ten Hag system you have at the club. So, he does make you better.
Exciting times. I think De Jong's a terrific player, an absolutely terrific player. And I think he would be fantastic for United, and anyone who's comparing him with the Di Maria transfer need to put that in the bin. De Jong is a superb player, and I think mentality wise as well, he's superb. And as you say, that relationship with Ten Hag is not going to come in and go, I don't want to play for United. I don't know why I'm here type thing. He's coming in to be a soldier for Ten Hag like he was, and I think it's going to be a fantastic signing for United and may unlock other players, like Bruno, like Van der Beek, which is very exciting. How probable is this then, Graeme? Do you think? Do you think this is now moving on?
There's a good chance. Talks are ongoing between intermediaries to try to get United want it doing. Here's their number one midfield target. I'd certainly put it 70-30 at the moment. I think there's a real willingness on United's behalf. As long as Barcelona don't change their mind suddenly, I think there's a willingness from Barcelona to sell as well. So, I think it's got a pretty good chance of happening.
I think this next guy is going to be our first summer signing, and I think that's Timber. Where's this deal at?
Yeah, talks are ongoing. Ajax are willing to sell. We know that. The issue here, what it has been is Timber he's not 100% convinced that he'll be a regular starter, and he's wondering at 20, does he stay for another 2 years in Ajax? And I think that is a consideration for him. We don't know what the plan is for him yet. He's going to play a back three possibly. Will they? Who knows what will he play? Will Timber play? Will Timber be the defensive midfielder quite easily? He's a William Gallas type player. He can play left. He can play right. That he was described to me. I did a story in September time last year when he was linked to Chelsea and Tottenham, and they said to me he was like a William Gallas type player who can play everywhere, but is a very good player everywhere. I do wonder, will we see a change in systems? We know Pau Torres is a player that Ten Hag wants as well. So will he look to play a three? You could argue Harry Maguire is better in a three. Varane, as he's getting older, will he be better in a three? So does it point to maybe a three being played by United? I wouldn't rule it out, especially with Timber coming in,
That's what I thought. That's what I thought, because also I was questioning the whole thought process, and I get it that you could probably play there, but him at right back, I mean, ultimately, you've only got to look at Ten Hag and how he's used Timber at Ajax. He's not going to then bring him into United and go, actually, do you know what? I know you've played at centre-back, even though I know injuries have been the reason why he's more or less forced him there, and he's got a lot more game time this season. I've played you and you've been very good and impressed world football at centre-back for the past 30 games. Do you know what I'm going to do now? I'm going to reinvent you at Manchester United as a right-back. But also, if he does do that, I trust Ten Hag in that, because Ten Hag has watched him grow through the academy and through the youth setup and into the first team over the past 2 to 3 years. And I think the fact that he's willing to take that 40, Ten Hag's putting his balls on the table, going, look, 40 million, pay that right now for Timber, is going to be worth it. He's a future of a Manchester United defence. That's a very exciting transfer for a Manchester United fan, because that's what your manager's doing. He's bringing in a player because he sees that potential and he thinks that he can get it out of him. That's great when you're signing a young player like Timber, right?
Yeah, certainly. No, I think he can play right back as well. I wouldn't rule it out, because he's less than 6 foot, isn't he? So he's far from being a towering right back. Towering centre back. So he doesn't look like a right back. So I wouldn't rule it out at all. That he comes in. He might come in and play right back. Ten Hag might very well think, Joe, what? In Holland you're a centre half, but in England you'll be a perfect right back, because let's not forget that Eredivisie and United, and playing for United in the Premier League is very different. So yeah, it's an interesting one. Yeah, we've got to wait for the player. I think if he's, as long as Ten Hag's talking to him and wins him over, yeah, we fully expect this one. Yeah, probably the first, because probably the easiest. We're talking Pau Torres, De Jong, and Darwin Nunez as the fourth, probably main target at the moment. And of those four, Timber is clearly the easiest one to get over the line.
Yeah. So we'll wait for that. I think if Wan Bissaka's going this summer, you've got to bring in a right back. So, Timber, if he does come in, I expect that to be a right back option. If we're going for Pau Torres as well, then maybe that's where it links up. He wants another centre back in Pau Torres. He wants a versatile right back. We know how Ten Hag likes to play with his switch of the wingers as well, and one staying a bit more defensive, the other attacking. So it'll be quite interesting to see how he shapes that defence. And like you said, if he does change formation, we'll talk about Pau Torres another time. I want to hit on one more player, which we spoke about with Zach Lowy the other day, and that's Darwin Nunez. A lot of speculation in the Portuguese press, but for me, this is a tricky transfer for United. It's going to be around 80 million quid to get him out of Benfica, isn't it? Especially when you think about that 20% to go to Almeria as well. It seems like a really difficult one, this to put off, and one that might take some time.
80 million euros, I think it is nearer, Ben. I think 68 million pound will be the fee. This one is, it's not as hard as we might think. Jorge Mendes looks after the player now. He's big at Benfica. He's big at United. This is actually between agents. There's not many intermediaries to use here, because it is Jorge Mendes. So, it's a player who we know Ten Hag likes. He's seen a lot of him. It's a player United need. Cavani's going. Ronaldo, you can't rely on him forever. Even if Ronaldo stays, I think you need this player. Who better to spend a year under than Ronaldo? If it were Darwin Nunez did come in, he can play out wide. Rashford as well. So no, you need to go into the season with another forward, and I don't think they'll do a wide man. Sancho is still there. Alanga, he's no Sancho, etc. But he's getting there. But I think you do need a striker, and clearly it seems that Nunez is the one who who United and Ten Hag both like. Both been watching him a long time, and I think he's potentially a world class performer. He could be as good as Haaland, so I think you just need to bite the bullet. Whoever gets him could be getting a world class performer. Yeah.
And it looks like United at the moment are going in for players as well that there's not major competition, so it's down to United to get the deals done and progress the negotiations.
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't start with necessarily Nunez. Yeah, there's not. I think there's more interest in Nunez than we realise. There's a lot of teams out there. Will Bayern Munich come in for him? Will Atletico Madrid with Luis Suarez replacement? Chelsea's ownership troubles are done now. Then Lukaku's going. Could Chelsea come in for him? Barca, I wouldn't read. I know United are favourites and they like him, but I wouldn't rule other clubs sniffing around the background. They know how good this guy is.
Especially Liverpool, when that Mane deal gets done and dusted. Interesting, Graeme.
Exactly, yeah. But Liverpool know what they're doing. Liverpool, hey, if someone's not going to pay £45 million for Mane, he won't be going anywhere.
Yeah, true that. Well, look, it's an interesting summer. Maybe we can catch up with you every couple of weeks and see what's going on, because I really enjoy doing these roundups. It gives us a bit of a context where we're at. Final question for you. Go on then. Ten Hag, thoughts?
You know what? I wasn't convinced at all. If he brings Frankie De Jong in, he gets a thumbs up from me. I'll give him a pass. If he brings Frankie De Jong in, if he doesn't bring Frankie De Jong in, But if he brings Frankie De Jong in, gets a thumbs up from me.
But a better manager than the ones we've had before, do you think?
Ben, I think you're a better manager than the last two you've had.
I'm not that's a compliment to me or disrespect to them.
I'm not even joking. You've had two joke managers. Paul Pogba, the week Sox arrived, told Manchester in its hierarchy he wasn't good enough. Perhaps if he's listened to Paul Pogba earlier, you might not have been in the situation you find yourselves now.
Interesting. Always good chatting to you, Graeme. Thank you for that, mate. Enjoy the next couple of weeks. 90minute.com, talking transfers. Go and make sure you check out the podcast with Graeme and Scott and the gang. And we'll catch up with hopefully both Graeme and Scott over the coming weeks and throughout the window. Thank you, mate. Take it easy.
It's okay. Anytime, mate.